participating in a
Hi, can you hear me now?
Muthu,
Yes.
Muthu now. Yes, Muthu, please go ahead on the line.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. My wife is a derivative of dependent green card process.
Yes.
Her
Yes, Muthu,
I-485
please go
was
ahead.
returned, rejected, citing alien worker information. My attorney did not fill anything under Section 9A. So my attorney is saying they're waiting for refiling instructions from USCIS. So could you please let me know how to proceed? Should we wait or can we resubmit with any cover letter or something USCIS?
Yeah, Muthu.
So could you please
Unfortunately,
let
that
me know how to
10%
proceed?
of the
Should we
cases
wait
came
or
back,
can we
and most
resubmit
of them were for
with
that
any
same
cover
issue
letter or
that you
something
mentioned.
USCIS?
And Leila has been, because it's such a large volume of cases that came back, Leila has been talking to USCIS. We haven't received any instructions. USCIS has not said anything so far that we can refile. And the main reason for this, for those who don't know, is that it was a lot of attorneys thought that they didn't have to answer that particular 9A question because it was a dependent. And from the face of it, it seemed like a lot of attorneys thought the question didn't apply to dependents but only primary applicants. So particular 9A question attorneys did not respond to that question. So that's what happened. A lot of cases came back. So Muthu, I don't have any further information for you right now, but if I was in the same position, I would just file it because there's no harm in refiling it and just tell them about the whole 9A problem, which they already know about. There's no harm in refiling it now. And in the meantime, if some instructions come in, then you can always, when the case is already in, and if it comes back, which will take about a month or so, you can always again send it once you get the instructions. So my thing is, there's no harm in sending it out now. You can always again send it and then see what happens.
Thank you. I just have one quick follow-up question. So my priority date is August 2014. The dates have got regressed. My application has been accepted. So will there be any issue in refiling my wife's application because of the dates?
Yeah, obviously.
My application has been accepted.
We are refiling it with the hope that they will accept it as of the date of filing. Now you cannot refile it otherwise. So when I say refile, I'm saying refile with an explanation that because of the 9A issue it came back and because USCIS took so many months to return it, you are not able to refile it in a timely manner. So put that back on them. They took so many months just to return it. If they returned it in the month of November or December, you could have refiled it because dates were still current. So that's what I would do in the month of November. But otherwise, if they don't accept it on humanitarian grounds, you have no legal grounds because, as you said, the visa numbers are not available. But we are hoping again in October, dates for filing will become available again because every October dates for filing become available. And they usually last from October to March. So we're hoping that will happen again, and then all these people that whose cases came back, they can refile. So we're hoping
thank you
that
so
will
much.
happen again, and then
Okay, thanks, Muthu. Thanks, Prashanthi. So before I ask someone from the queue where someone raised their hand, there are a lot of questions posted in the chat, based on the priority, and also they send directly to us in the other comments. So Ramesh Dalan is going to ask some questions on that. Then we'll go back to the queue in the 47 minutes. Ramesh, can you ask a question? At least two questions now. If you ask the questions, then we can go back to that. Please go ahead.
Sure, Ramesh, I can do. Shanti, I think there are three questions. Pretty much all of them is around H4 and H4EAD. Sure, Ramesh, I can do. Shanti, I think first question is from AJ. Does it make a difference if you file H4 extension and H4EAD separately? Sure, Ramesh, I can do. Shanti, I think
difference in what? Not really. Are you difference in processing time? I presume that's what he's asking, but I don't think it does. Difference in what? Not really. The main delay seems to be with H4EADs more than H4s. H4s, even if there's a delay, it doesn't really matter because the main delay seems to you're still in status. But H4EAD delay matters because then you lose your job because you cannot work if your EAD has expired. But to just answer that question, no, it doesn't make a difference whether you file it separately or together.
Okay. Okay.
Ramesh, you want to go for the next question?
Yeah, I can. Sorry, so the next question is so the next question is from Batmashri. Again, it's around H4 and H4 EAD. My H4 and H4 EAD was filed on June 2020. It's been 10 months till I didn't get any biometric appointment for H4 extension. So our question is, if I go to stamping in India, will my current H4 EAD will be rejected and I have to refile? It's been 10 months till I didn't get any
Right.
biometric appointment.
So a lot of people are asking this question as well.
So our question
They
is,
are
if I go to stamping in India,
some are just
will my
traveling
current
because it's the
H4
summer,
EAD
but
be
some
rejected and I
are
have to
traveling
refile
because
my
they're
biometric?
hoping that if they come back and they, then now they have a valid H4, somehow the H4 EAD processing will be faster, but it won't be faster. So if you're traveling just for that sake, then there's no point in doing that because the delay is with the H4 EAD itself and the biometrics, etc. And this is also a policy delay. This is an intentional delay on the part of USCIS because they don't want to give H4s EADs anymore. It has to be resolved at some point. It has to be resolved at some point, but there is a lawsuit filed, as I said. There is a lawsuit filed, as I said, and hopefully it will be resolved soon. But to answer that question, leaving the country and coming back does not in any way affect your H4 EAD application. There is a lawsuit filed, so you should be fine, and hopefully it will be resolved soon.
Okay, thanks, Prashanthi. Ramesh, we'll come back to the chat questions.
Leaving the country and coming back
to
does not in any way affect
Thanks,
your H4
so next on the line is SI 128.
so you should be fine. Hopefully it will be resolved soon.
Thanks, Prashanthi. Ramesh, we'll come back to the chat questions.
Leaving the country and coming back does
Please
not
go ahead
in
and ask
any way
questions.
affect
Yeah, thanks,
So
thanks,
next
thanks
on
for
the line
taking my
is
call and
SI
appreciate you guys doing this community service. So I had a question about, getting my mom here and start processing her green card, as you say, after 90 days, right? And the question was, A, how much time does it take? B is if she is in Mass and it takes more time where she cannot handle cold from November onwards and she goes to Florida, what happens? Is she kind of locked in till the time the green card comes in? And during the period the green card comes in, if she has to go for some major, treatments, whose liability is it? How does that work out? So those are the two questions I had. Thanks.
Yes, okay. So the first question I think was how long does it take? So once you file it, it should take about 12 months maybe to. So it'll take about 1 to 3 months to get the advance parole. So I'm answering that third question that you had. If once she gets advance parole, she can travel outside the country. Within the country, you don't have to worry. You can travel at any time. There is no restriction traveling within the country. Third was a question about medical bills, I think. So I don't think she's not eligible unless she's a permanent resident. She's not eligible for Medicaid even if she's over 65. So, and that's not an immigration question, but just based on general knowledge. So, if there is some medical issue, obviously, then um, if she goes to emergency, they can't refuse to treat her. But if she goes for some other treatment, then somebody has to pay the bill. She's liable first, but they might even come after you if she's living with you. But mostly, it is the individual that's liable in this country.
Okay, thanks, Prashanthi. Then next in the queue, I do see a couple of people for the second follow-up questions, but let us give a chance to the first comers. So I do see Arun. Meena, I think she asked the question before, I think, right? So let me unmute you. Meena, I think you already asked question, right?
Yeah, I asked question. Yeah, this is second question only.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. You can go ahead and ask questions. So I will give chances to others later, but you can go ahead since I really unmuted you. Yeah,
okay. Go ahead. Yeah. So my son is 13 years old. He is in H4. So only till certain age they can be our dependents, right? So I just want to plan how it is going to be H4 college education or all that. So that's my question.
They can only be until 21. Once they are 21, they have to go on to an F1 status. So they'll file a change of status from H4 to F1. But you still have time. But it's good to plan.
Yeah.
But let's hope Biden comes up with something where, the green card people who have AB2 and AB3 green cards pending will get a green card by then. I'm hoping.
Okay.
But otherwise, they file a change of status from H4 to F1.
Okay. So, are there many kids in H4 college education right now?
You can be on H4 college education, but this is, you can only be on a H4 before your 21st birthday. After your 21st birthday, you cannot be on H4. So then you'll have to change to an F1. But if you are eligible for H4, if you're below 21, yes, you can go to college on your H4.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Prashanthi. So next in the line is Arun. Yeah, Arun, please go ahead and ask question.
Yeah, my question, I'm asking behalf of my friend. So he was in US around 8 years and I-140 approved, that's his green card status. Unfortunately, his visa got rejected and back to India. So in this situation, what happened to his green card processing?
The green card processing continues if the employer continues it. It's an offer of future job employment. So just the fact that he's not working right now doesn't invalidate the green card. So the employer should be willing to pursue it. If he has, then he or she has, then it can be processed. It can be continued.
Okay. Thanks, Prashanthi. So let's move on to the next one. Tamil Selvi, I'm going to unmute you. Yes, Tamil Selvi, go ahead.
Hi, Prashanthi.
Hi.
Thank you for this opportunity, Ramesh. My question is, if my visa expires, like my visa is expiring in July 2021, and I applied for a college. So to change from L2 to F1, do I need to go to India and get stamped and come back, or I can stay here itself and change my status from L2 to F1?
You can file for a change of status in the country for L2 to F1, and you'll get a new I-94 and you can continue for as long as you like. The only time you need to get a visa is if you leave the country. Then in order to come back, you need a visa.
Okay. So in order to continue the work, in F1, I cannot work. So if I apply CPT or OPT, how long does it take?
So you cannot apply for OPT as soon as you join the college because that's after you finish college. You can apply for CPT, curricular practical training, and that really depends on the college that you join. Some colleges allow day one CPT, some don't. So really depends on your DSO. You should talk to the university before you join.
Okay.
To find out what is their CPT policy.
So I can still be here without going out of country and continue like a change of state.
Continue what?
Like live here and just change of state.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, all right. So I do see a lot of participants here. If they have any questions, please post it in the chat or raise your hand. The next one in the queue is Narayana Kumar. Let me unmute.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, what is your advice on traveling this summer to India? Is there any known delays in the visa stamping? What is the minimum period someone should plan for? Who needs a visa stamping there?
So if the person is a permanent, it depends on what your status is really. So what is the status?
If it is a visa, means we will be in H1B or H4.
H1 visa. Okay, H1, some non-immigrant visa.
Yes.
So yeah, so visa stamping, unless you do lockbox, unless you do Dropbox, sorry, can take time, and I don't, because there's a huge backlog for in-person appointments. So it's really difficult to say if you leave and if you need a visa stamping when you'll come back. Especially if you have a job and you are physically required to be here, I would postpone that visit right now, unless you have lockbox. So then it shouldn't take more than a month or so.
So for the Dropbox, it's taking only for a month, right?
Dropbox, correct.
And one more thing, after 14 years, definitely we need to go for a visa stamping, right? The Dropbox option is not allowed, right? Suppose if he turns Yeah, if one turns 14, because his old visa was before 14, and if he turns 14, definitely he need to go for the visa stamping in person, right?
I am not aware of that. So I don't know the answer to that. So I won't answer it. If someone needs that information, then I can look it up and then you respond accordingly.
Yeah,
I
sure.
don't want to give you a wrong answer.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the other one is, what are the benefits and risks involved when downgrading from EB2 to EB3 when the action dates move forward in future?
Right. So yes. So that was a golden question, especially in October. I
Yes.
was asked that question so many times that I almost felt like recording it and then just hitting the play button every time somebody asked me that. So EB2 to EB3, there is no risk because you can file for, rather than filing an amendment, you can file a new I-140. So you'll file a new I-140 for EB3, right? And thereby you will maintain your EB2 I-140 as well as your EB3 I-140. So depending on whichever gets current first, you can use that. The only risk happens when you file an amendment changing your existing EB2 to an EB3. Then your I-140 changes. So you no longer have the underlying EB2. So that in that situation, there was a risk. And at that time, people were asking that question because there was some rumor that you couldn't file an amendment to change from EB2 to EB3, or it was risky to do that. So now it is established that it's not. And even previously it wasn't, but somehow this rumor started. So there is no risk there. You can just file for a new I-140, and you have two I-140s, one for EB2 and other for EB3, and it's the same job.
And after moving to the EAD, do we need to hold the H1B, or is it okay to work with the EAD?
Right. Another good question. So if you are moving to an EAD, you have to remember, first of all, that before you move to an EAD, make sure your I-140 is approved. Because if the I-140 gets denied, and there is, a good possibility that it might get denied because there's so many issues in an I-140, your 485 will get denied. And if you move to an EAD that quickly, then you will fall out of status, really. So make sure that first of all, your I-140 is approved. Once the I-140 is approved, yes, you can move to an EAD and advance parole. You have to understand what the parameters are. If you want to travel, you have to file for an advance parole. You have to file for EAD. The advantage is, unlike H4 EAD, even while the EAD is pending, you can work. So that's one big advantage of being in a 485 EAD, which is a little different from the H4 EAD. So you'll never be out of a work visa, as it may be. The disadvantage of moving to a 485 is if you have dependents who are going to turn 21. If you move them to a 485 and they turn 21, they pretty much fall out of status. Because they don't have an underlying non-immigrant petition, a non-immigrant visa. So then they'll have to leave the country and then come back on an F1 visa or some other independent visa. So that's why some people are keeping that H1 and H4 alive, because it's easy. Then they don't have to leave the country. They can just file for a change of status from a H4 to an F1. So it depends on what your situation is.
Okay. Thanks, Prashanthi. Thanks, Kumar. Kumar, you asked two golden questions. You should get some gift from TMA President, actually. You can probably reach out to him. Okay. All right. So over to Ramesh Dayalan for some of the questions in the chat and the comment boxes. Then we can go back to the queue. I see three people who already asked questions, waiting for the second question. And Saranya is a newcomer. But Ramesh, you can go ahead and ask the questions in the chat and comments, whatever you have it. You can wrap up those questions.
Okay. I have one question from Ganesh Shekhar. It's again around, his wife completed H1B 6 years. He's going to complete 6 years by October 2021. Company is still working on filing green card. Since GC will not complete before 2021, obviously, in October 2021, they're asking to file H4 and H4 EAD in his H1B. Is that a good idea to do? Is this question?
I guess that's the best option that you have, since you didn't file the GC on time and October is coming up now. Even if you file now, you're not going to get the approval by October. So your best filing your green card as soon as possible, changing your status to H4 EAD, and then you might be in a period where you can't work because of all the issues that we know that we've been discussing, right, about H4 EAD delays. But at least you will be maintaining your status and you don't have to leave the country. You can also move to presumably move to an F1 or a visitor's visa, but the H4 is much better.
Okay, thanks, Prashanthi. Ramesh, next question, please. Ramesh, are you there?
No, I was mute, sorry. A couple of questions on green card, just switching the topic from H4. One person is asking, we are citizens here, we want to file green card for our parents. What are the things we need to know and how long it will take? I know you answered a little bit earlier. I think is more important question is this something your company can help? Is what is question?
Absolutely, that's what we do for a living. We'll be happy to help.
Okay.
And I think I answered that question before, so.
Yeah, you did. I think you did. I think follow-up question on that is, I know you said like once they come in, we have to apply in 90 days. What's the time frame after that, Prashanthi?
So it's difficult to say the time. I can only tell you what the time frame was before COVID. It was about 12 months or so. It doesn't take long. To for family-based cases, they were getting approved. Actually, even before that, 6+ months. But now it might take longer. So I would give it about 12 to 18 months.
Got it. One other question on the green card, and then we can go back, Ramesh, for the people on the raising hands. He's a green card holder and is eligible to become citizen now. I think it's more a personal question too, probably for him. He has plenty of assets in India. He needs your advice. Maybe he should contact you separately, or I don't know. I mean, that's his question.
Right, and that is more like an OCI kind of question, not US immigration so much, but Indian immigration. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Back to you, Ramesh.
So there are some questions left in the chat, Ramesh. You can consolidate and keep it ready. And let's move on to the list in the queue. Next one is Saranya Devi. Let me unmute. Saranya, please go ahead and ask question. Saranya, are you able to see? I'm not sure what happened to Saranya. Saranya, are you able to unmute?
Yes, now I'm able to.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So this is regarding my status, the current status. Like, actually, I'm confused whether I am in H4 or H1 right now, because all the status, like all the visas which I have applied is like overlapping. Initially, I have applied for, I came to US from India on H4, dependent with my husband. Then I applied H1 on April 2019. Then it took a time for 1.5 years and then it got approved. In between, I also applied for H4 along with my husband because he applied for H1 extension. So I have applied H4, but still I'm waiting for H4 status. I didn't get any H4 approval for myself and my daughter. So I'm just confused, like whether I'm in, and also I have not joined the job in H1. So right now I'm not pretty sure that whether I'm in H4 or H1 because I've not joined the job. So that's the first thing. It's like very confusing.
So if you want to join the job, then you should immediately withdraw your H4, the last one that you filed. Then you will be automatically on H1 because that's the second last one that you filed. But if you do not want to be on H1, then let your H4 processing, the last case, again, I don't know if you were there earlier in the call, we talked about last action rule. So since the last action that was performed was the second H4, I think you will continue to be on H4 if you don't do anything.
Okay, so the other thing, what I wanted to be clear is like basically to understand what status we are in. Is it any way like we can find it out from the online or something in, even like website, if I go, nothing, no information was there on my
Well,
name.
you can Google last action rule USCIS, and that will tell you, basically will say what I'm saying. Whatever was your last action.
Okay, but by any chance, like USCIS website doesn't say me like what status I am in? It doesn't say.
Why does it have to say when there is a rule as to what your status is? There's a very simple rule. So, USCIS will not, no, it doesn't say, to answer your question.
Okay. Because, okay, even though if we don't join the job and H4 is like, since H4 is the latest one, and I've got RFEs after I apply H4. So still you mean to say that whatever the action I take on the last will be
last
considered?
Case that you filed.
Okay. So it means that like according to that I'll be in H4. So if I'm not joining job, I have to like let them know that like I have to withdraw
And
H1,
ask them to
right?
withdraw. Yeah, ask them to withdraw the H1.
Okay. In case if I'm withdrawing H1, one more question. Like in case if I'm withdrawing H1, like I heard from someone, I'm not very pretty sure that since it is there like since it's for 6 years, so anytime I can use the same H1B in the future if I want to join the H1B, or I have to apply a totally new one?
So I think you're asking about whether you're cap exempt or not. You're only cap exempt if you actually started working on the H1. If you did not start working on the H1, you're not cap exempt. That is as per the strictest interpretation of that cap exempt rule. And that's how they're interpreting it right now.
Oh, so totally it's like gone. Withdrawn means it's totally gone. I have to start right from the scratch.
Then you'll have to file for a cap case. Anyway, you have to start from the scratch. But this now you have to start. You can only file when when the cap opens up, and if you get picked in the lottery.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Sarani and Prashanthi. Prashanti's time check, it's about 8:20. So we do have 4 people raised hand and a couple of questions in the chat. Are you okay with continuing this couple of questions?
Yeah, another 15 minutes maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Siva, you can go and ask questions because he was not able to raise hand. So I unmuted him. Siva, you can ask question now.
Yeah, thanks, Prashanthi. Actually, thanks for taking the time to answer all the questions, and it's a great service. It's a kind of a different kind of a question. So already my wife has a green card. Already we applied for citizenship. So the green card is expiring in September 20th, and she is going. Its citizenship application is still in the process, and we don't know. It says it's going to be approved probably around August timeframe. But she is going to be in India, and just in case, for any reason, if she gets stuck, is there any field office to extend the green card, or what?
No, you shouldn't be in that situation, Shiva. Make sure if they're traveling and she gets stuck, then she's stuck. You cannot extend the green card while she's out of the country. So, and also there is a rule with reference to citizenship also, right? For the last 3 months, you should maintain residence at that place from where you filed. So extended period outside the country while you file citizenship also is not a good idea. So I would suggest not to travel. I mean, you can visit, but don't stay out of the country for an extended period of time while your citizenship application is pending.
Yeah, so what she's a school teacher, so she's thinking of going to India in June 20th, and then probably she'll be there for 2 months. So do you think probably that's not good?
2 months should be okay, but make sure her green card doesn't expire while she's outside the country.
Okay, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Siva. Thanks, Prashanthi. Ramesh, over to you now. So you can go ahead and ask questions that's in the chat and the comment boxes, whatever. Then we can go back.
Given the timeline, Prashanthi, let's do it kind of a rapid round here, if you don't mind. A question from Arun is, what's the current timeline and delay on Dropbox in India? Is there a website to track?
I don't know what the current timeline is actually.
Okay, there's no website as well, right, to track that?
No. Okay. You can go to the consulate where you're applying and see if there's information there.
Okay. The question is from Mr. K. For someone who's current, can they provide?
K is already raised hand. you can skip
That's
me.
okay. There's one question. I'll just shoot that question anyway.
Okay.
Can they proactively send medicals before a RFE is received?
Yeah, you can't.
I
Sorry.
submitted my medical.
Cannot.
Okay. Okay. So Kumar, you can remove K from the question if you don't mind. That's fine. The raise hand. And another question from Priya. We applied for green card, EAD title change, advance parole. Is it okay to travel to India before getting EAD? I think you just answered that question if I'm right. Or will it affect any process?
So advance parole, make sure, if you're on a H1, if it's an employment-based petition based on an I-140, you can travel as long as you can come back on your H1 visa. If you have a valid H1 visa, yeah, you can travel.
Perfect. The question is from Ganesh Shekhar. If I apply PERM this month and also H4 EAD, which is likely to be approved first, how are the delays with the PERM?
PERM is likely to get approved first.
Okay.
It's about 6 months to 8 months for PERM. If he's applying, as he said today.
Okay. And this, thank you. The next question is from Jay. I think Jay has raised hand. Kumar, you can remove him. I'll ask the question here. H1B for non-profits does not have cap, but does it have to be faculty position at a college, or can it be a staff position as well? What about non-profits for the community that work with multiple colleges, but
So
not with
faculty,
one
so the job title only matters as to whether it's a specialty occupation or not. So only some jobs are can get H1 and some jobs can't. So that is relevant for that. But otherwise, if it's a non-profit educational institutions, yeah, sure, it is cap exempt.
Two more questions, Ramesh. I'll just shoot it here. Chokalinga Money. So he's thanking for sure. Thank you, Prashanthi. And I'm on EB2 with the current racing between EB2 and EB2 versus EB3. Should I switch to EB3 or remain patiently in my current queue?
Should I switch to EB3? What after that? What is he asking, Ramesh?
Sorry, I think I went frozen a little bit. I think his question is he's on EB2 right now. And yeah, with the current racing between an EB2 and EB3, he's asking, should I switch to EB3 or should I wait patiently in the current queue?
That is his choice. I cannot tell him what he should do. So it's hard to, I don't have a crystal ball, so it's hard to see, figure out what will happen.
Okay. Yeah, there is a last question from Rajesh. Ramesh, I posted that. You want to ask that?
Yeah. Yes. Rajesh's question is, if changed to a new ARG after I-140 approval, would it be feasible from EB2 to EB1 at new ARG? Any pre-requests?
If he changed to, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
If he changed the organization after I-140 approval, basically a company change, would it be feasible from EB2 to EB1 at a new organization, new company?
EB1, if you qualify, it doesn't matter. The changing of the organization is not important, but whether you actually qualify for EB1 or not, that is important.
Gotcha. And this is the last question in the thing. I think Jay is following up with a question. Kumar, you can remove Jay again from the raising hand. What is the timeline for applying to H1B with nonprofits? How much time does it take to do the paperwork, file it, and hear back from USCIS? If there is any gap for H1B filed for nonprofits?
The gap usually refers to students' change of status from an F1 to a H1, and it applies to anyone, whether nonprofit or not. But if you're cap exempt, then you don't have to worry about that.
Perfect. Okay. I think we are good in the chats here, Ramesh. If you want to release.
Yeah. I think we are freezing any more questions in the chat. We have 3 more questions in the queue. After that, we can actually end up with the thank you note from you, Ramesh. Okay. Yep. So let's unmute Esam and then they can ask questions. Esam, please go ahead. Esam? I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So this is a follow-up question on the LLC started under the H4 EAD. So I understand that the person cannot actually work or check the money out. However, can the person claim the expenses in tax filing for the period not actively involved in the business? And B, can the person continue to invest in the same LLC managed by someone else?
Prashanthi?
Sorry. Yes, you can invest, but only as a passive investor, not as an active member. And the other thing I think was a tax question, so I'm going to skip it.
Okay. Thank you.
So next one is yes, 128.
Hi, thanks for taking the question again. And my question was, as a U.S. citizen, right, and one with the OCI card, and of folks, retiring in Florida or something, and they go back to India and retire over there and come back, occasionally visit their kids here after 5 to 6 years. Any risk or any something like that which one has to factor in?
If you have an OCI card, I believe there's no risk because you don't have to report to the police station every 6 months. You can stay for any period of time in India. So, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, two more questions. Tamil Selvi.
Ramesh, can I just take 2-second break?
Yes, of course. Please go ahead.
One minute.
Please.
Yeah, sure, please.
We'll have one question, so we can wrap up.
I'm back. Sorry, guys. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thanks, Prashanthi. Tamil Selvi, are you there? You can go ahead and ask question. Tamil Selvi? Sorry, I didn't unmute.
I think she couldn't unmute probably. Let's go
Tamil Selvi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, she can. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Tamil. Yeah.
Okay. This is a follow-up question on the L2 to F1. I asked previously if we can be in the States and then move the status. Another question is, nowadays the I-94 is getting delayed. So if the visa is getting expired in July 2021, when the person should apply for the F1?
I don't think I understand your question. So visa is something completely different, nothing to do with I-94. So
Okay.
as long as you file, as long as the I-94 is current, I-94 is valid, you can file for a change of status, even on the last day. But usually you can file, if you're extending, you can file 6 months ahead of time. If it's a change of status, you can file anytime, as long as the I-94 is still valid.
Okay, before the I-94 gets expired, or visa gets expired before that, any day.
Not visa, I-94.
I-94. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Prashanthi. The last question, last person is Jay. I think he's coming back. I think he may send some check to you, Prashanthi.
Yeah, he's not happy with my questions. He's asking.
Yes,
he's
asking plenty of questions.
I think we have to charge him for the next question.
Go ahead, Jay, please.
Right.
Unmute.
Yeah, I unmuted him. Yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
So.
Oh, sorry, it's her. I'm sorry. Sorry.
How much time does it take to do the actual paperwork?
I can't hear you. I don't know if some other people can hear, but if Ramesh can hear, he can relay the question.
No, we are not able to hear as well.
I'm not able to hear too. I think she has the question in the chat. I can ask the question. How much time does it take to do the paperwork, file it, and hear from USCIS for H-1B nonprofit?
How much time does it take? Same time that it takes for H1. You can also file for premium processing. So H1 is keeps changing, but it takes a few months usually. And if you do premium processing, now it takes 30 days.
Okay.
I think we covered pretty much everybody.
Any questions? Okay, awesome. Thanks again. Ramesh, you can go and give the thank you note, and then we can wrap it up. Prashanthi, you want to say anything before that?
Exactly.
Just thank you so much. It was really wonderful to answer so many questions. I just I'm very happy when there are so many participants and questions, because I feel like my time is well spent. So Really thank you for the organization and all the members and all your hard work and dedication. And happy Friday.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Prashanthi. There's roughly around 30 questions.
Not only the people over the chat are one thing I will say, Prashanthi, not only the people over the chat here, but it is also broadcasted to many other Facebook channels and YouTube, right? So where there are like 20,000, 30,000 members are there. So they will be seeing your faces, if they want to really see. And it's a good thing for you as well. And thanks for giving opportunity. Ramesh, go ahead and, give your thank you note, please.
Thank you very much, Prashanthi. It was wonderful. Nice knowing you as a person as well. And you were very patient in answering all the questions. It was at least there was 30 questions if my count is right. And I think I hope we did right by coordinating things. So we are happy to support you anytime. Thanks for your time and thanks for supporting the community as always. From TMM perspective, IAGB and Rhode Island Tamil Changam, our warm regards and thank you for you. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and have a great weekend. Yes, thank you. Vanakkam.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Prashanthi, I will post your, your business card in our Facebook page and share it in our newsletter. Someone will contact you if they need. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Good night.